Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Kirk here again at Option Alpha. Welcome back to this week's workshop. Today, we're going to be going through updating exit options on the fly. So this is a combination of using monitor automations, do some pretty cool stuff, some pretty wicked stuff to your exit options on the fly. So you can just switch up your exit options like a ninja as you're trading and get those automations running even faster to manage and monitor your positions. Completely swap exit options out, turn them off, turn them on, do whatever you want to do. Super cool. All right, so let's get rocking and rolling. You can see the slides here. So we'll go through a couple slides as always, then we'll jump in and we'll do some bot building, some automation stuff. I'll kind of walk through a bunch of examples with you guys. Also, I do have a copy of the bot template that I'm going to be sharing today that has a ton of automations in it. So I will share that into the community right after we're done here. If you're watching this recording later on, you're on our website, it's probably on one of the links on the sidebar right below this that you can get a copy of that template. So that way you can clone these automations, reuse these automations, edit them, adjust them to whatever you're doing. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through a couple things today together. First thing is we're going to do a quick review of what exit options are and how they work. If you don't know what exit options are, that's okay. If this is your first time in here, you can say, nope, I don't know what they are. I'll let you know what they are real quick. We'll briefly cover that. Second thing is we're going to discuss conditional or dynamic setting and resetting of exit options on the fly. So on the fly means whenever you want, basically, like adjusting exit options as you go. And I'll give you a bunch of examples so that we can walk through that together. Third thing that we're going to do is we're going to explore lots of examples together using the pre-built bot template that you can clone for ideas. The goal with this template, as always, is not to tell you how to trade. I'm not suggesting you trade like this. I'm giving you ideas and examples that you can use. You can use some of them, all of them. You could mix and match them. You can edit them to make them work for you. All right, so really quickly, this is always a good one. I like this one. It's kind of sourced everywhere, but you put the source of this in here. But like in your mind, you're probably thinking, this is my trading plan, right? And then reality hits and it's like, you have to like roller coaster, then you have to take a tram and a boat and then a bridge and a ladder. This is exactly how trading goes, right? And if you've traded for any amount of time, you know this is the reality, right? And by the way, like everyone thinks their P&L curve is going to look like that too, but the reality is it's all over the place. So the reason I show you this is because you have to get this visual in your mind, because what I want to do today is help ensure that when you get into whatever market conditions you deem necessary to make adjustments on the fly, that you keep this in the back of your mind that like the market is not going to go straight to your 50% profit right away. Like I think a lot of people, what they think is like, well, I have a 50% profit, so it's just going to go right to my 50% profit. 5 today, 10 tomorrow, 15, 20, just ride its nice little bicycle right to my 50% profit. But that's not what happens. Markets throw you a curveball, the VIX spikes, you get close to expiration, etc. And then the other thing is that you just have to contend with these different environments and different conditions. And so what I want you to understand, I hope today, is that you can use exit options and automations to adjust how you're managing positions and be really flexible with the reality of the situation that you find yourselves in. And it doesn't mean that you're going to find yourself in these situations all the time, but you might find yourself in some situations where you're okay taking a smaller profit, or you want to take a bigger profit, or you want to remove a stop loss, or whatever the case is. So all you're doing with exit options is you're making adjustments on the fly. You can do as little or as a lot as you want. It's up to you as you go. So first thing that we have to go through is we have to go through what exit options are. So let me actually go off of this slide real quick, and I'm just going to show you really quick what exit options are. So here's what exit options are. Attached to every position that you have in Option Alpha is something called exit options. Now you can set your exit options manually, like you can go in here and edit them and set your exit options manually. You can set them automated. So when you open the position, you can automatically attach exit options to them. Or as you're going to see today, and this is the whole idea of the webinar today and the workshop, is you can update these exit options on the fly. You can use your bots and automations to rewrite and change your exit options as you go. Now, I like to think of exit options as literally a piggyback backpack on top of your positions. That's what I think that exit options are. They stick to and they ride on top of a position. So like this position is just a simple dummy position I opened up this morning, a short put spread in SPY. The exit options are attached to this position. They're attached to that position. And all exit options are all of your major management criteria, like profit taking, trailing stop loss, exiting before expiration, avoiding earnings, stuff like that. So exit options are a way to quickly, continuously look at the position every minute and see if it meets any criteria to exit. And if it ever meets any criteria to exit, start sending orders to your broker, start trying to exit. So you could have your exit options be, if I reach 50% of my credit, that's my profit taking, or if it's 2 hours before expiration. So either of these, whatever fires first, either if I get to 50% profit or if expiration is 2 hours away, whatever triggers that first, it will trigger the closing order. So exit options are really cool because they allow you to manage your position really simply, really easily. This gets the major management criteria in place. So here's how I think about these. And this is something that you'll see, I hope, throughout the rest of today's workshop together, is what I do and the way that I think about it. So it's just what works for me, and I hope it works for you, but I put these together because I think it will, is I think about exit options as a trigger and a reaction. So I'll say it again. I think about exit options and updating them as something is going to trigger a different management style for you. It's almost like when it's raining, that's the trigger for you to get an umbrella for the day. Now, do you have to walk around every day, all day with an umbrella? No, because it's not going to be raining all the time. But if it starts raining, that's your trigger, then your reaction is going to be to grab an umbrella. So if it starts snowing, you are going to grab a shovel and a hat and coat. Do you have to walk around all day with a shovel and a hat and coat? No. But that's how I think about it. It's like, what in your trading strategy or what in the market environment would trigger you to want to react different? What would trigger you to want to react different? Here's one trigger, and we'll go through this one today with an example. The Fed is meeting today and the markets might go crazy. Do you guys think that might be a trigger? I think it's coming up in 7 days. That could be a trigger. That environment, the fact that the Fed is meeting today and the market, or whatever it is, I'm not saying they're meeting today. Everyone's like, oh my God, the Fed's meeting today. Like whatever that day is. If the Fed's meeting that day today, and the markets might go crazy, that might change the way that you manage positions. You might do this, and I'm just going to use an example. Raise your profit target to 90% just for that window of time. Because, hey, if the market swings really violently and volatilely in your direction, let's take advantage of it. Maybe you raise your profit target to 90% because, hey, who knows, for 2 hours, things could go crazy. And you adjust your bid-ask spread guard to 50 cents. So you kind of widen it out because you know the markets are going to be a little bit crazy. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But you can do something to adjust and react to that market environment. Here's another example. This might be a more popular one, a more realistic one. If I told you, and let me just say this, right? So just hear me out on this before you probably already read the slide, but just hear me out on this. If your traditional trading strategy said 50%, I'll take 50% of my, premium as a profit, or I'll hold it to expiration. That's what everyone classically did, myself included. I'll take 50% or I'll hold until expiration. Well, what if you're a day from expiration and you've got a 30% profit, and that 30% profit could evaporate tomorrow? Do you take that profit? Yes or no? So you were hoping for 50%, but your day from expiration. So do you take a 30% profit? Yes, of course you do, right? Because you don't gamble like that. So do you see how you have to be a little bit wiggly? You got to be a little bit flexible to make adjustments as you go. So in this last example here, the trigger might be something like my original 30-day trade is now 5 days from expiration. So I've never taken it off. It hasn't hit any other level that I want. So now my reaction to being 5 days from expiration is I'm going to drop my profit target to 25%. I might add a trailing stop and I might set the expiration close to 2 hours. So do you see how we're doing trigger, reaction, trigger, reaction? That's all updating exit options is just determining for you and your strategy, and I'll give you tons of examples here, what would cause you to want to adjust your strategy. What would cause you to want to adjust your strategy? Do you run into a river? Do you find some storm clouds? Did you encounter the woods or the trees, to use our reality example? And now you're going to adjust your strategy. You can't ride your bike through all this. You got to ride your bike, then you got to do the zip line, then you got to take the gondola, the boat, then you got to climb a ladder, right? So you're going to adjust as you go. Hopefully I've killed you guys with enough analogies, but you guys know I want to go through a lot of examples. All right, so here's an exit options bot. By the way, I'm going to save this as a template for you guys. I'll share it into the community once we're done, so you guys have a copy of this. So you will have a copy of this once we're done. You'll have a copy of all of these. You can save all of these ones that I built here for you, and you can mix and match and save them to your library. You can love them and use them forever. Now, here's what I did. I opened 3 different positions just manually inside this bot this morning. I opened a short put spread, I opened a long put spread, and an iron condor. It doesn't matter what the tickers are. I just picked 3 different ones, picked 3 different types of trades, so we had something to look at together. Now, right now, all of these positions, automations are running right now. All of these positions have no exit options, none, 0 exit options set. So these are just old school style manual trades, probably like what regular traders do now that don't use automation. They have no profit taking, stop loss, expiration, nothing running at the same time. None of them do. So you see, none of these positions have any exit options whatsoever. Inside of our settings, what we can do is we can use one of our actions inside of an automation to reset our exit options. Set or reset, basically override whatever exit options are there and replace them with new management criteria, right? That's what you're doing. You can think about it as just swapping bot managers. Like, originally, you opened the trade and you wanted to get 50% of profit. But now that you're closer to expiration, you're willing to take X% of profit, okay? So this first one here that we're going to go through is an example of updating exit options closer to expiration, which is the one that we just went through before, okay? So here's how this automation works. It's going to, and I'm just walking through this so you guys understand how it's updating exit options. It's going to repeat through every position that we have, and it's going to check and see if that position expires in less than our days threshold, whatever days you set. And I made it an input so that you can set those days, right? So you could say, like, if the position expires in less than 3 days, use these exit options. So that's an input for you. But all it's basically doing is saying, hey, if the position expires in 3 days or whatever it is, and the answer to that question is yes, update exit options for that position. And this is where you now swap and use a different strategy. Does that make sense? So inside of this automation, all you have to do is just simply change the inputs. So you could say, look, if it expires in less than 5 days, and if it does, then I want to change my exit options to this. Maybe I reduce my profit target to 25%. I implement a trailing stop that starts at 10% with a 5% or 4% pullback, whatever that is. And now, because I know it's going to expire soon, I'm also going to tell it, hey, if it ever gets to 2 hours before expiration, close the position. It doesn't matter what you guys said here, but do you understand that you can use decisions in your monitor automation, use decisions that tell exit options under what criteria would it trigger a new set of management? Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat really quick. Okay. Give me some yeses across the board or Ys because you guys are traders. Yes. So under new criteria, this right here is your trigger. Let me do this. I'll say this. Edit notes. This is your trigger. This is your trigger, and this is your reaction. If this happens, which is the position now is inside this tighter expiration time period, then do this. So look, we can run a test right here just to see if it would work. Right here, we have 3 positions. So we're going to check. If any of these positions expire in 5 days, we would want it to update exit options. But guess what? None of these positions expire in 5 days. So for most of the time, your automation is just running, checking. Bots don't care. They eat data for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and double snacks at midnight. Like they don't care. They'll check all day, every day because they don't freaking care. So that's what you want them to do. Constantly check for the thing that would trigger you to change your management strategy. Okay. In this case, it would only trigger if you get inside expiration. Okay. So again, this one is a good example of updating exit options closer to expiration. You've got two inputs, just choose your days and then what you want to do to the new position. Okay. Morgan said, do you need to have the automation switch on for the exit options or do they work independently? So you need to have both of them on for both of them to run. So you need to be running exit options. So if exit options are there, you want the bot to use them and you want to turn on your automations. Like you could turn on your automations for this bot. I don't want to turn them on because I don't want to mess up the log of what we're doing today, but you turn on both. Automations are for here and exit options are saying, yes, if it hits any of the criteria, run it. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, here's a different example. I want to try to like pound this hammer of like trigger, reaction, trigger, reaction. Here's another example. Update exit options with a VIX spike. So I have a different input. Now the input is not days until expiration. Now the input is above what level in the VIX should exit options be updated. We don't want to turn off exit options, but what if the VIX spikes? Then maybe we want to use a new set of management criteria, right? Maybe we want to use a new set of management criteria. So this is what this automation does. And look, it's doing the same thing. And I add a little loving, a note and notification. But it's going to repeat through every position. Check and see if the VIX is spiking. Is the VIX spiking? Remember, this is your trigger. This is your trigger. Okay? This is your trigger. Is the VIX spiking? Yes, the VIX is spiking. Great. Update exit options. This is your reaction. Does that make sense? And then I also added a little note that says like, hey, the VIX is spiking, so I'm updating your exit options. Love your bot. Okay? Love your bot. And you can send yourself a little notification like, hey, I just want you to know this really weird event that doesn't happen all the time where the VIX spikes above 40. Well, it just happened, but I've already updated exit options. Now, if you add this to your bot, 99% of the time, it's never going to update exit options. And that's great. But the 1% of the time where the VIX spikes or whatever it is, then the exit options get updated. Yep. Ron said, since exit options run every minute and automations run every 15 minutes, can you create an exit option that changes parameters of the exit option so it runs minute by minute? You mean like the automations? No, these management automations will check this criteria every 15 minutes and then just update the next run of the exit options to start the next minute. So it happens asynchronously right in order. Yep. Okay. All right. Is that a good example? Oh, wait, hold on. I want to save this. Okay. Good example. Can technical indicators be used as a trigger? Yes, we're getting to that. See this RSI one? Okay. One more. Here's a different one. And I'm just trying to show you a bunch of different ways you can do this. Update exit options by DIT. Update exit options by DIT. What's DIT? Days in trade. Update exit options by days in trade. This one's really cool. This one is you can change how aggressive you are with your exit options by how long you've had the position open. So in these settings, you have exit options for trades that have been held less than 5 days, exit options that are between 5 and 14 days. I don't know why. I picked these just as examples. It's not like you have to use 5 versus 14. Doesn't matter. And then exit options 15 plus days, right? So exit options that you've held like, oh my God, I've held this position for so long. Like you can see maybe your profit target starts to go down. Maybe originally in the first 5 days, you're like, okay, it's only 5 days. Only held the position 5 days. Let's shoot for a big profit, 75%. I don't know, whatever your strategy is. Now you've held it for a little bit longer. Let's adjust that profit target down. Now you've held it for 15 days, 15 trading days in this case, which is a long time. That's a month of trading. then maybe let's adjust the profit target down a little bit further, right? Maybe we were being a little bit too greedy for that. So here's what this does, right? And follow along here. Has the position been opened less than 5 days? Yes. Update the exit options. That's a trigger. If the answer to that question is not yes, and the answer is no, okay, check and see if the position has been open less than 15 days, which would naturally solve for in between. So if it hasn't been open less than 5, but it has been open less than 15, we're 5 to 14 days. You see how we're just kind of bracketing it? These are all triggers. Has the position been open more than 15 days? And see, trigger, 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 and then reaction, reaction, reaction to all of those different environments. Okay, to all of those different environments. Okay, that makes sense? Do you guys like this one? How many people use something like this right now? And notice you can stack them for different conditions. You don't have to use separate monitor automations. What I wanted to show you here was I wanted to show you that you could use one monitor and just stack all of your different conditions for when you would start to implement this. Like if it's 5 days, then do this. If it's 10 days, then do that. If it's 15 days, then do that. Okay. All right, here's another one. Another example. You could update exit options for different RSI signal levels. You could say, okay, if RSI is a buy, and let's say you're trading short put spreads, if RSI is a buy, well, I feel like I have the momentum on my side. I'm trading a short put spread, high profit target, give it a big fat trailing amount, like have a trailing stop that triggers or activates at 50% with a 10% stop. If RSI is a neutral and it's starting to get over, starting to come into a neutral range, then maybe I move down the profit target a little bit, reduce the trailing amount a little bit, tighten that up because maybe I have a position that's in. But if RSI is a sell signal and I'm trading put spreads, well, I want to slam that profit target really close, right? Because now it could turn back over. Maybe you also implement a stop loss. I'd never use them, but maybe you do, right? I'm just showing you how you could do it. So you have 3 different management styles that you can run with 1 minute exit options. Do you see that? And then inside the automation, see what we're doing here? Trigger, trigger, trigger. Is the symbol's RSI a sell? Is it a neutral? Is it a buy? And depending on what it is, will trigger a different outcome. Pretty cool, right? So it's just trigger, reaction, trigger, reaction. Okay. Here's the last one. I kind of went over this last week too, but it's in here too on the last workshop. But what about that Fed meeting? Well, here's what we could do. If you just have a simple, like this could be a bolt-on for any automation or bot that you're running. I call it a bolt-on because you could add this monitor and it would just look for this specific environment, just this specific environment. So in this case, you could say, all right, repeat through every position. Is the Fed meeting today? And is it the time zone of when the Fed is meeting? Basically the hour that the Fed meets, right? And if it is, and your position type is this, adjust the profit target. If the position is this, adjust it to that. If it's a neutral position, maybe you completely disable it. But this would only run and adjust your exit options for the microcosm of time that the Fed is speaking. So if you aren't around to watch your positions, which I'm not, you're not, we all got busy schedules and things to do, you don't need to be around babysitting positions, right? Then let this take care of it for you. And if the Fed is not speaking today, maybe you just reset it to normal exit options. Yep, Steve said, so does it adjust them back after the window closes? After that closes, you can readjust them to whatever your normal settings are. Yep, you can just say, hey, these are the normal settings, so readjust them back to normal settings. Yes, okay, start going crazy. No, the Fed's not meeting, use normal. Or you can just take this out if something else is using normal settings. So you can choose how you want that to go. Okay, does that help out? Someone had that question there. There was a good question up here really quick. Let me go back up to it. Let me see if I can capture it. Oh, Steve said, how would you combine days in trade and RSI into exit options? Super simple. All you're going to do is inside your trigger, you can add more decisions. So you can add decisions like position has been opened for more than a certain number of days and blah, 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 blah. The RSI is this, and the position has been open for more days. Okay, under that trigger, under that specific environment, do this. And then under this environment, do that. Does that make sense? You can add as many as you want. Add as many as you want in there. I'm going to delete this, but you can just add groups of decisions together. Okay? All right, does that help go through this? Yeah? Does your mind already working on like what do you guys want to use them for? Can you guys give me a couple examples? Like, what do you think? How would you, under what criteria would you trigger a new management? Would it be days to expiration? Would it be like a combination of things? Would you do technicals versus this versus that? Probability. Ooh, that's a good one. Paul said probability of being in the money. That's a really good one. Like management near expiration. That's a good one. Yep. DTE for debit spreads. Ron said technical indicators reached. Yep. Like if you bought with a low RSI and now RSI is high, that could be a trigger to update exit options because your technical reached its level. So now maybe you want to take profits or take profits sooner. Yeah, that's a good one. Grab a quick win if it's open less than a day. That's a good one too. If the position has been open less than a day, grab the fastest win possible. Yep. Could you trigger it based on CAGR? No, you can't trigger it based on CAGR, but you could trigger them based on the bot's P&L. Like if the bot's P&L for the day is above some amount, update exit options so that positions have more room to run or have tighter stops or whatever the case, or just close positions if you want to. Yep. Trigger a hedge. Yep. And then trigger to an adjustment to the existing position. Yep. Could you quickly review how to set the automation in the bot settings to apply to all positions without having to set one input specifically? Yep. Oh, earnings is a good one. Someone said, what about earnings? Yep, that's a good one. The position has earnings in one day. Okay, update exit options. That's a good example. Yep. Okay, so here's how you can update exit options on the fly. Here's how you can update exit options on the fly. And I did this for you guys. I did a couple of them. You guys can do your own homework and do a couple more. But I added a couple cool buttons right here to this bot template. So what I did here is instead of adding things as automations, what I can also do is I can add buttons to the bot. And so that at the click of a button, I can perform certain actions. Now, I know some people are already using these, because I've seen templates go back and forth. I've seen people sharing bots like this back and forth. So this first one here is a clear of all exit options. So if you add this button to your bot, it's just going to loop through every position, determine if it's a short or long, and clear the exit options, basically reset the board for exit options. That's really cool. So if you wanted to clear exit options, you just hit the button to clear exit options. It clears it for all positions. Okay. Then what you can do here is I added other buttons. So I said update exit options for short put spreads. So this particular automation says look at every short put spread. Forget everything else that's not a short put spread and do X, whatever those exit options are. Okay. Now what I did is I had this set so that when I click the button, I can choose how I want to set the exit options for that specific environment. So watch this, okay? Remember, inside of here, my short put spread on SPY, do you see how it has none? See? None, 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 right? I have no exit options. Let's say I had 4 or 5 of them or whatever, it doesn't matter. I could say short put spread exit options, and then it's going to ask me, all right, what exit options do you want? I can confirm, I can adjust, I can set them, say, okay, I want to set those, so run the automation. Great. Exit options were set for that position. So if I go back here, guess what it has now? It has exit options. And notice it's tracking the high, it's waiting for the trailing stop, right? Yeah, Ron said they're an emergency switch, but you don't have to outthink your own strategy. No, they're good. It's a good one if you just want to like reset them for like markets going. I've seen people say like there's a button that's like reset exit options, volatile day, right? And if they think the market's volatile, they hit a button and reset their whole portfolio for a different management strategy for that day, right? So that's what you could do. Now, notice it didn't impact any other position that was not a short put spread. So you can reset exit options for everything. You can set exit options for everything at once, or you can target how you want to set exit options. So I reset them now. So that reset them across the board. See how it reset it? Now I can go back to my dashboard. I can set them for just iron condors. I can say, hey, all my iron condor positions, let's reset exit options. Let's do this. Now when I go into my iron condor, great. Now my exit options are running. I've got them on here. So they're starting to track and manage positions, watch the bid-ask spread guard, etc. Okay. Is that cool? Do you guys like that? So I added a couple of them for you so you can see. So there's short put spreads, short call spreads, iron condors, and long put spreads. That gives you really the framework of like how you can set each of these as you go. And so feel free to just delete or use whatever inside of a bot as you go. Okay. That's I think it's super helpful to have. I think I like having these in here. I'm gonna start adding some of these to my bots because sometimes you just don't want you like don't have a specific environment. You just want to do something different, right? And you just want to reset them for all of them. Yep, just click the button. Yep, exactly. Okay. You could reset them based on premium. Yeah, you can always check the premium of a position when you go through the automation. So you can still do a lot of stuff inside of your decisions right here for the position before you even set exit options. So you can say like, has the premium, in the case of short premium positions, has the premium decreased by 50% since it was opened? Okay, now set exit options that reset the profit target to 60% with a 50% trailing whatever stop loss if you wanted to, right? So yeah, you can check premium of positions, P&Ls of positions before you reset them. You can do all of that in here. Just do it inside of your monitors for whatever custom combination you want to come up with, okay? Just to confirm, no more lightning bolt. Running a test and unchecking works the same as the old lightning bolt. Correct. Yes. So if you run, you could do run and then run an automation, right? And if you run a test and then you uncheck it, it's going to modify during that test. That basically is like a live action test. It's like the old lightning bolt instant run. Yep. Correct. Is there a way to evaluate premium within the market? What do you mean within the market? Can you just explain that, John? And I'll help you out. Can you explain the bid-ask guard? It doesn't seem to trigger close. What's its purpose? Yeah. So here's the bid-ask spread guard. And we went through this I'll go through it really quickly, but we went through it in a lot of detail on the last webinar. I think on the last webinar where we introduced some of these, maybe not the Fed one. Actually, I think it was the Fed one that we went through. But here's what the bid-ask spread guard does. The bid-ask spread guard will disable exit options if market volatility balloons. So usually what happens around events like the Fed meeting, like right before the Fed meeting, the bid-ask spread will go 0 to 200. I don't know, like some things will go really wide. And what you don't want is you don't want that to trigger some arbitrary attempt to fill a profit target that's not really there because mid-price gets all discombobulated. Does that make sense? So what it's doing is it will temporarily disable exit options if market volatility is too wide, whatever you deem is too wide. So if I said, look, volatility, I'll let the bid-ask spread go 5 cents right now for this position, and let's just put a high profit target on it. So if the bid-ask spread ever gets above 5 cents for SPY, that might be too wide. It probably is not for anything else, right? But then it will just temporarily disable exit options. You don't have to use it. You can use it, but it's trying to protect you against the accordion balloon and wide volatility that happens around Fed, major announcements, earnings, things like that. Okay, does that make sense? Yep. See if I can help with questions. We don't do the wheel strategy, so you have to do it differently in there. Yep. I like the best use cases. Oh no, I just refreshed my screen. Hold on, it's coming back up. Make sure I can get to all these. Okay. Best use is for exit options would be adding them to trade ideas. Protect against trades without actively monitoring them. You can use them to trade ideas. Yep, you can add them right away to trade ideas. Can you have automation set exit options for positions that haven't been assigned? Of course. Yep, you can have them set for any position. That's basically what a lot of these examples that we were going through here is. It was just looping through positions, loop through each position or repeat through each position and set exit options. Yep. No code writing required. Nope. It's all just decision recipes, point and click. Premiums, for example, is the premium on SPY options high, okay, or low at any given time relative to history, or is volatility the real maker? I guess you would have to determine like what is high, what is low, what is that premium. So you could track like IVR. You could say like, okay, is IVR for SPY above 50? That would be a good relative tracker. Or is it below 50? And then you could adjust your exit options that way. But you'd have to be really specific with like what you're trying to track there, John, for premiums. Yep. But you could use IVR. Yeah, you could use IVR would be a good one. Okay, I couldn't find the position bid-ask spread criteria condition, like the screenshot. Nope, it's in here. So position bid-ask spread criteria is just one of the additional decisions that you can use. So it is right here where you go here, and then it's one of these ones here. So you can see the position recipe has lots of different things that you can check at the position level. Does that help out? Okay. Ted, you can just sign up, just optionalpha.com/start. You can sign up right away and start a trial. Yep, you don't have to wait for anything. Yep. Links to the last webinar, all of them are in optionalpha.com/workshops, and you can go in there and check those out. They're all there, always there. Yep. When adding an automation in the settings, it asks for automation inputs at the bottom. Unable to proceed without selecting them. What am I doing wrong in order to have it apply to all positions? It just depends on how the automation is set up and how those inputs are set up. But you're not doing anything necessarily wrong when you're adding those. The inputs are just the little levers that control that automation, and you can adjust them. That's all they are. Correct. Yep. Okay, cool. All right, has this been helpful to go through these? Any other final questions? That's basically it to go through these. I will share this template inside the community so you guys have a copy of it right after we're done here. Do you like these examples? Does that help out? You guys see something that you could potentially use? Now it's not full blown, obviously. There's a lot you can still do here, but I wanted to give you some really good examples that you can start to play with on your own. And please like share the ideas back and forth. If you build a different type of automation, or if a lot of you had really good things like earnings, some of the other ones like probability, can you guys share those templates back to the thread? I'll start a new thread on this template. You guys share those automations back for each other. Like, let's help each other out, right? So if you had an idea on building update exit options for earnings, share it back and let's all look at it together and help each other out. Share one back about in the money probability. That's a really good one. Or expiration, right? That's really cool. So share those templates and automations, just attach them to your comment, and then we can all look at them and share ideas back and forth. Okay. That cool? All right, good. Listen, I hope you guys really enjoyed today. If you have any other follow-up questions, please let us know. Steve, thanks so much for helping out again here in the chat. If you guys need anything, let us know. All of these recordings will be available optionalpha.com/workshops. We hope to see you on the next workshop coming up. And if you guys need anything, let us know. Until next time, happy trading. Take care.